Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about American Psycho. American Psycho came out in the year 2000 and stars Christian Bale, Jared Leto, Reese Witherspoon, Josh Lucas, and Willem Dafoe. The movie takes place in the 80s and follows a handsome young businessman, Patrick Bateman, played by the eccentric Christian Bale, who lives a second life as a gruesome serial killer in the streets of New York by night. I watched this for the first time, and I was actually invested in the character of Patrick and his descent into madness. Christian Bale has become one of my favorite actors because he really knows how to get into his roles, with movies like American Hustle and Vice, and a new one, Ford vs. Ferrari, that just came out. And he is really good, and I believe him as this well-dressed guy who has everything he wants, but he lets little things like the style of a business card ruin his day and could possibly get him to murder somebody. He works at a firm with a bunch of douchey guys played by Josh Lucas, Bill Sage, and Justin Theroux, and it always seems like they're going to lunch or to dinner and going to the club to do some of that nose candy. Also, with the way the people are in this movie, you definitely know who he's going to go after or who he's not going to go after. But there's also scenes where he seems conflicted on if he wants to hurt them or he doesn't, especially with his secretary. But when it comes to certain people like Paul Allen, who is played by Jared Leto, one of the most iconic scenes from the movie, I would say, it's the one you see on like all the advertisements. He's in his house, he's drinking, and then he starts playing the Huey Lewis song, Hip to Be Square. And it's just a good scene, and him showing off his comedic chops, his dramatic chops, and it also establishes Jared Leto as kind of like this asshole guy because, it was kind of a prelude to his Suicide Squad days, so good job there, Jared. And my favorite scene of the movie is when he's running out of the hotel room with the chainsaw and he's chasing that girl around after she finds all the bodies spread all over the apartment. And she's running down the steps and he's just waiting, maniacally laughing, covered in blood, naked. And it's just a funny scene, but it's terrifying because he drops the chainsaw and it goes through her body or cuts her head off. It's hard to, I can't remember exactly, but he chops her head off or whatever. And it's just, to me, it was a really good scene. It's just funny, scary, dramatic, thrilling, and it's just my favorite part of the movie. The main negative I have is we never really get an exact answer on if several people are actually dead. He's on the phone and he's talking to the lawyer and he's like, I killed all these people and everything, and he's talking, he's really dramatic, he's crying, he's laughing. It's an interesting scene, but then you see him meet the lawyer in another scene and he's like, well, I was with Paul Allen in London and everything, and I'm not exactly sure if everything was in his head, he imagined it all, but it's weird because I don't know. It's just interesting. I wish we actually got a clear answer on if it was all made up in his head, because then you see all the drawings and everything, but you see him kill Paul Allen, but then he's not dead or whatever. So that was my main negative. Is I wish there was a more clear answer if it was just in his head or if he actually did it. But other than that, I mean, really, this movie doesn't have very many negatives for me. It's good. It's funny, it's scary, it's intriguing, and that's another good scene is when he's talking to the guy on the phone, talking about all the stuff he did. But yeah, really no hard negatives for this movie. I actually really liked it. So my final thoughts on the movie is it's entertaining, it's funny, it's scary, it's all those things. It's not a movie that's a movie you want to start off your kids watching. It's definitely to watch later. Very, very rated R with the language and some of the situations are in there. And if you're a victim of sexual violence and other things like that, I suggest you stay away from watching this movie because it does hint at stuff like that. And or you live in the dating culture and stuff like that. But other than that, it's very good, and it's a good horror movie, and it's really good character study of Patrick Bateman. So I like this movie. I rate it a go out and buy it, go out and see it. You know, this needs to be part of your collection, so go out and put it in your collection.